So last time we had an angry Southampton fan at my Premier League predictions. Now we got an angry Aston Villa fan. Villa went a year last year. At, I mean, it still makes sense to be fair, at home from Jan to Jan with 17 wins, 1 draw. First of all, Jan to Jan, it's not a season, that's a calendar year. A season is August to May. There was a time when Arsenal were first Jan to Jan, but it didn't matter because you don't win the league Jan to Jan, you win the league August to May. That's when it matters. Partly because the season ends in May and restarts in August. Anyway, so having a calendar year record doesn't necessarily mean you'll do the same in the season. But anyway, 17 wins, 1 draw. Good run. And you think that will drop off. Villa have broken this big 6 bollocks and will break it once more. So did Newcastle. For me, Villa 4th. Villa 4th is fine. That's not a bad prediction. Chelsea have a joke manager been going by Christmas, and Liverpool with a new manager have never finished above 6th before. Yeah, but they're not going to finish that low, are they? They're going to be all right. Yes, they have a new manager, but they got a good enough squad. They're not going to be that bad. Let's be honest. Chelsea, okay, makes a bit more sense, but yeah, I still put Chelsea quite low anyway. But obviously still above Villa, so fair enough. For the Chelsea part, fair enough. I understand why he's angry I put them below Chelsea, okay? But I don't get the Liverpool part. And yet you think one of the most settled teams in the league will drop off. Have a word. Villa, top 4 or 5. Chelsea may take a bit out for us. This is the main reason why I put them lower down. I put them 7th for a start, okay? But they didn't have the Champions League last year. Now they have the Champions League. That's another competition to focus on. That's going to take away from the Premier League, form, I think. It's not going to be as bad as Europa League effect because they play on Thursdays, but it's still going to have an effect. So I feel like because of the Champions League, they'll drop off a bit. I don't think that's a bad prediction. But we had Europe last year and got 4th. To be fair, they did have Europe last year as well. Okay, to be fair, I did forget that detail. But the Champions League is still the Champions League. So we'll see how they do. But fair enough, he does have a point there. They're in Europa League last year and they still got the top 4 spots. But how do you know that teams like Man United won't be better this season? Like, how do you know you make top 4 again? You never know. Spurs did not finish behind us, as did Chelsea. Yeah, but will Spurs be bad again this season? That is the question. They might, and I hope they are, but that's the question. Who also have Europe this time? Come on, use your brain, dude. Well, he has more of a valid point than the Southampton fan, but I'm not changing it now, mate. So the only thing I would, based on your comment, the only thing I would change is Chelsea below Villa. That's the only thing I would change. You'd still be like 6th. So I'd move you up 1 position, mate. You should live stream the Carlton Hawthorn game. I was actually watching it for a quarter, then I fell asleep, but you know, it is what it is. But definitely wasn't with the energy to stream, that's for sure. Should have been 50 meters. He wants to do what to the umpies? That's a weird way of coming out the closet. It's a demolishing. Yes, it was. An absolute demolishing. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's just yeah. I am quite happy. Yes, Ben. I am. It's good that you pointed out. I am quite happy. How good the Essendon and Carlton are done, mate. If you told me at the start of the season that we would be above Carlton, Essendon, Collingwood, Melbourne, even Saints and the Crows. If you can throw in those 2 teams, because based on the pre-season expectations, I thought Crows would do quite well, maybe in the 8. I put them in the actual my predictions. I didn't think Saints would be in the 8, but definitely thought they'd be better than Hawthorn. If you, like these 3 teams here, plus these 3 teams, if you told me we'd be above all of these teams after 22 rounds, I'd be laughing in your face. But here we are today. We're gathered here today to see this amazing sight. And all we've got to do now is beat 17th and 18th. Surely it cannot be that hard. Don't mess it up, Hawks. We're in a great position right now. I finally believe we'll make the 8. I finally believe it, and we are finally here. Yeah! This reminds me of LA Knights. Yeah! Thank God we both have Adelaide correct. I think Hawthorn make finals easily. I'm not sure about 8. Could be Collingwood, Carlton, Bulldogs. I don't think this stage masks Essendon will make finals. Wow. Shots fired. Even though they got more points than Collingwood. So how come Collingwood can make it but Essendon can't? I'm confused. I don't get it. But anyway, he's not on the list for that. We are going to put a few clubs on the list though, because there are some disgraceful performances today, or this weekend in general. Collingwood just made a list for choking a 27-point lead in the last quarter. Also like to point out, they almost choked a 32-point lead in 15 minutes against Carlton. Carlton missed a set shot after the siren that could have won the game. So Collingwood almost choked last week. This week they did choke. They just made the list. Also on the list are Brisbane for losing their 9-game streak. Also on the list are North Melbourne for losing from a decent lead. Same with Brisbane did that as well, to be fair, but they are already on the list right now. Also on the list are Fremantle. They had a good premiership position in their hands and they've bloody choked it the last 2 rounds. So Fremantle are also on the damn list. Also on the list, obviously, are Essendon. That's Gold Coast's first away win all season. Are you not embarrassed? Essendon, you just made the list. Melbourne are on the list for being terrible. I'm going to specify Melbourne FC, not the city of Melbourne. Big fan of the city of Melbourne. Maybe not Melbourne FC right now. Also on the list are Carlton. They're actually already on the list. So there you go. We put on the list first this video. I'll give Richmond pity. I'll give Richmond pity. We'll let them breathe. We'll let them breathe. Also on the list, obviously, is the Western Bulldogs. Losing to Adelaide. No excuses really. By 39 points as well. You cannot be doing that, especially when you're in a comfortable final spot. I still think they'll make it. They got North Melbourne next. There's no way they're losing that. So they're still going to make the 8. But they're still on the list for losing this one. Because it's not a good look. They were clear favourites. Lost by 39 points. Just saying. But I got it right, of course. I did tip the Adelaide Crows. Guess that's the video then. 32 scores to 13. 32 scores to 13. And to think this was close at quarter time. I think they scored 16 points since I went to sleep. They scored more points before I went. I watched the first quarter. So they scored more points before I went to bed than after I went to bed. And after I went to bed, it was quarter time. So Carlton suck. Let's go West Coast. Video's almost at 30 minutes. That's also the limit on the camera. Don't be a stupid idiot. Goodbye. It's gonna end right now. I don't even have to press anything.
You just made the list! 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 You just made the list!